Welcome to On Brand with Donny Deutsch. I am Donny Deutsch, and this is our premiere episode. Our first guest is going to be Michael J. Fox. But before we get to our first guest, I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm doing this, because the world does not need another podcast. But I think there's something interesting we're going to bring to the table here. And it starts with the premise that today, everything is a brand. Every celebrity, every business, every movement, every religion, every institution, every politician, every athlete, everybody's got a Facebook page is a brand, and a brand is a set of values. And what we're going to do on the show is explore the brands that are making a difference in the world, that are kind of shaping our week-to-week lives, and do it with some of the great iconic brands, some of the great individual thought leaders of the world, and break it down. And that's what we're going to do every week, and lens everything through this kind of brand lens that doesn't really exist anywhere else. So that's why I'm to the table here. My credential is I built Deutsch Advertising, a multi-billion-dollar advertising agency. We build and shape some of the biggest brands and the most well-known brands in the world. And for the last 10 or 15 years, I've been on television and talking a lot about business, a lot about politics, a lot about popular culture, the zeitgeist. So I put that all together, and I'm bringing you On Brand with Donny Deutsch, and welcome to the podcast. Before we talk to my guest, Michael J. Fox, which I'm so excited to do, I'm going to do something that I'm going to be doing every week here, and it's what we call a review of the brands of the week. And these are the brands that are kind of shaping who we are, where we're going, what we're doing. And these are the people and the institutions and the celebrities and the companies and the products that are kind of making news and kind of driving the zeitgeist, where we're going, where we're headed, and why we're headed there. So I'm going to break down brands of the week, who's up, which brands are up, which brands are down, which brands are sideways. And let's get into it. My first brand of the week is Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk on Saturday night, last Saturday, hosted Saturday Night Live. And there was a lot of controversy about it because a lot of the cast members and people on Twitter were, how could Saturday Night Live have a billionaire, with all the income inequality out there? Why would they have Elon Musk on, and he's just a rich guy. Now, first of all, to all those people, this is a guy who is making a tremendous difference. Yes, he's the second richest guy in the world, worth $166 billion, which is unfathomable, but he's making electric cars. He's sending, spaceships to Mars. He's making us better. That's good stuff. And, overall, we're just vilifying people automatically because they're billionaires. And yes, is there something wrong in this country because 50 people have the same amount of wealth as the bottom half? Of course. But don't hate the players, hate the game. Say we need tax reform, which we're going to get. Say that there is a lot of things that have got to change. But, a lot of billionaires are people that are driving the culture and who we are and making tremendous inroads for us. So to just come on and say that was a problem is ridiculous in and of itself. And on top of that, he did a great job. He humbled himself, and he got up there and he talked about how he had Asperger's. He was probably the first person hosting Saturday Night Live who has Asperger's. So for all people out there with have a form of disability, to have this kind of champion out there and this hero of our culture talk about how he has Asperger's, this was a good thing. So this was a good thing. Brand up for Elon Musk. Go Elon Musk. If we got more Elon Musk in this world, we're better off, even if they each have $150 billion, okay? My second brand of the week is Superman. That's right, Superman. Now, why is Superman a brand of the week? Because Warner Brothers is out there looking for the next Superman, and it's going to be a black Superman. Yay. I mean, really, it's about time. And, there's an interesting statistic that I read. I talked about on the air the other day from a poll from 2018. I think there was an ABC News Washington Post poll that said that 1 in 10 Americans think that it's okay to have white supremacist values or neo-Nazi values. 1 in 10, not 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. So what better way in one swoop, obviously it doesn't solve the problems, that the superest of men, the superior man, the Superman is black. I love it. What a great statement. I think it's going to be one of the great blockbusters of all time, a black Superman. You go Warner Brothers, you go Superman, brand up for Superman. My third brand of the week is Republican Party, a big brand down. And there's a new word I have for the party. There's a lot of people out there, particularly if you're on the Democratic side, that say they're lost and they're following Trump with the big lie and they're amoral and how could they be backing Trump? And it's wrong. I want to just refocus it that it's dumb. That if I was put in charge of rebranding the Republican Party, I would start out with saying, hey, you may like Donald Trump, or you may, whether you believe or didn't believe the election was stolen, following him is a losing proposition. 75% of Republicans would vote for him again, and 2% of Democrats. That makes 30% of the population, 1 in 3 people. He's got an approval rating of 32%. He's unelectable. He can never get another swing voter. The Republicans can't win office if they're not getting swing voters. And because of the insurrection, Trump is a losing proposition. That's the way to reinvent the Republican Party. Don't make it about right or wrong. Make it about winning and losing, because nobody wants to lose. So it is the party of dumb right now. It is so stupid. They are so forget which side of politics you are. If you're about winning, you're going to move away from Donald Trump. The Republican Party right now is the party of dumb, brand down. We'll talk about the party. I want to talk about the next brand, the brand of old age. You know, you say the word old age and it's a negative thing, elderly. Nobody wants old age. Yet we have a 78-year-old president now, which is arguably the most important job, or certainly the most visible human being in the world, who is doing a ton of stuff. Forget whether you agree or disagree with his politics. He's active. He is making more movement in the first 120 days than any president in our history. And I think it's going to reinvent what people see about old age. If we remember, while he was running, that was an issue. So I think it's going to have tremendous implications for the brand of old age or the brand of elderly, whether we now extend retirement to certain companies from 65 to 70. But I think it's going to reinvent in the culture what we think about old age. So brand old age, brand up, way to go, Joe Biden. You're doing the job for the entire old age brand, if you will. Next brands, Gap and Hollister. Now, Gap and Hollister, everybody knows the Gap, and Hollister is another chain of retail stores. You know, kind of 90s thing. You don't really think about them. They're dusty old brands. Yes, they're targeted at youth, but, they've been hurt in the retail calamity. They've been hurt in pandemic. But both of them are rejuvenating their brands with one brilliant stroke. And it's what I call brand subjugation. They're realizing there's only so much they can do in advertising to get anybody, or any kind of marketing, to get anybody to think different about the Gap. If I said to you the Gap, there's nothing I can tell you if you know the Gap that's going to get you to go in there. If you're not into it, they just sell khakis. And same with Hollister. Yet, what are they both doing? They're both doing collaborations. The Gap is teaming with Kanye West, and Kanye is doing an entire line, just like he did with Adidas and Yeezys. It's going to reinvent Gap overnight. Overnight, people that didn't even know what the fuck the Gap was or didn't care about it anymore, it's automatically cool because of Kanye. And the same thing's happened with Hollister. The D'Amelio sisters, Dixie and Charlie, they got 80 trillion followers on TikTok, are doing a brand with them called Social Tourist. It's going to change the brand overnight. So the message future now for brands that are kind of dead in the water, that are tired, they're a little bit yesterday, you subjugate your brand to a bigger brand. Let them carry the weight. So once again, brands up for Hollister and Gap. Very, very, very smart move. Another brand I want to talk about, a brand of the week, is the brand of the big lie. Once again, that's something that we've been hearing out there and that the Democrats have talked about, and everybody talks about, the Republicans are basing their entire raison d'etre these days on the big lie that the election was stolen. Of course, it's not. I want to rebrand the big lie because I don't think it has enough teeth in it. With a big lie, there's arguably two sides. There's no two sides here. A big lie doesn't have what I'll call the evilness that something like the Holocaust has, or slavery has, or trying to overthrow the American government with an insurrection, overthrowing democracy. Let's call it that instead of the big lie. Let's call it the big attempt to overthrow democracy. Right? That's something that says this is what it is. A big lie is not enough. Let's rebrand it. The big attempt to overturn our democracy. There are no two sides to that. It doesn't have a red ribbon like no pun intended, like the big lie. It's something that's got teeth in it. So I want to rebrand the big lie. The big lie, brand down. We want to change that brand now to the attempted overthrow of the U.S. democracy. A lot more teeth to it. Next brand, Matthew McConaughey. Big brand up for Matthew McConaughey. Talking about running for governor of Texas. Now, we've had a lot of experience with celebrities as presidents. We've had some winning brands like Ronald Reagan, and we've had the ultimate losers brand than Donald Trump. And it has to do, we can't lump all celebrities together. If I look at what a brand is, it's a set of values. And Matthew McConaughey is seen as decent and honest and a guy next door and all shucks, nothing major. He doesn't believe in chaos on either side of the party, big controversy. He's a likable guy. He's calm, right for the times. So his brand would be right for the times. And interesting enough, in polls, he's beating Greg Abbott, the current governor, I think 45 to 22%. So big brand up for Matthew McConaughey. I think he would be a great candidate. And let's see what happens with that. Next brand up, or the brand of Bongs. Now, we don't, B-O-N-G, Bongs. Remember Bongs? If you were somebody my age, it's what we smoked when we were younger. You'd stick your head in the big glass tubes, and obviously they've lived throughout. And lately, there's a very high fashion brand called Edie Parker that makes these purses that women know are very, very high end. And she's come out with an $800 bong, kind of a fashion accessory. And I think what it's really showing is that when any industry comes forward, like cannabis is exploding, we're going to have a luxury side of it. So just like there's super high-end liquors, there's going to be super high-end things associated with cannabis. And we're seeing the first high-end bong. So brand up for that. And finally, my final brand, and it's also a brand up, is IHOP. IHOP's business was up about 300% in April. Pancakes are back. And if pancakes are back, everything's back. People are going to IHOP to get pancakes. Things are good. Things are okay. People are eating pancakes. I can feel good and sleep about that. And those are our brands of the week. I am thrilled that my premier guest is an icon, is an inspirational figure. Michael J. Fox, his new book, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality, one of his fourth bestseller. Of course, Michael has won 5 Primetime Emmys, 4 Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild, a Grammy, and his new book, of course, is a bestseller. Michael is a personal friend of mine. I'm proud to say that. I'm on his Parkinson's board. I'm proud to say that. One of the best people you will ever meet, an inspiration, and I am so thrilled to have you today, my friend.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, Donny. None of that is true, but except the friend part, we're friends. The rest of it's hyperbole. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
First, on a personal note, my heart goes out to you. You just lost your dog, Gus. I don't want to start on a somber note, but I just noticed somebody.
A little shrine to Gus behind me. Yeah, he was a good guy. He was besides all the personal stuff in our relationship, a guy's relationship with his dog is really kind of special. But as someone with a chronic illness, and when you living with a chronic illness, your life becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and it becomes just about not going out, not doing a lot. And a dog helps a person like that, but just he brings you into the world. You just have to be in the world because of your dog, and he opens up all this stuff. Gus really saved me in a lot of ways. When I was at my lowest, my son had just gone to college, and I was kind of feeling alone and thinking a lot about the Parkinson's, and then his dog showed up in my life, and it really made a big difference.
You talk about, we're going to obviously get into a lot about the book and your spinal surgery, and then you fell down and fractured your arm, and that you came home in a wheelchair first from the hospital. And tell us about how Gus reacted to you and how he kind of gave you a certain light, if you will.
Gus knew I've been away for about 4 or 5 days, no longer than that, 2 weeks, with both the operation and the initial therapy. And they wheeled me home. They wheeled me into the apartment. And Gus came tentatively over. He wanted to jump on me, but he was very tentative. And then he circled the wheelchair really slowly and woofed at it as he went around. And he parked in front of it and looked at me like, "Get out, get up, let's get going." And I always kid people about lying to their dogs. They'll say, "I'll be back in 10 minutes," and they know they'll be back in 20 minutes. But for some reason, you lie to the dog. Like, that's how much you love your dog that you lie to him. So I said to Gus, I said, "It's going to be all right." And I swear we both knew I was lying. He's an amazing animal.
You said that, even though he was a rescue dog, that he rescued you.
Yeah, I don't know who. I didn't rescue him. He may have rescued me, but he'd be too modest to take credit for it. Or too ashamed to take the blame for it.
I hear you. We have so much to talk about. First thing I want to do, though, is, this show is on brand, and we talk about brands, and the whole premise is that everybody, everything, every institution, every religion, every celebrity is a brand. Anybody with a Facebook page is a brand. And how would you define the Michael J. Fox brand? And it's an ever-evolving brand. But if I was going to say to you, okay, brand yourself, what's the Michael J. Fox brand? How would you describe it?
I think humanist, optimistic, generally kind, and funny.
I agree with all those things. I think in really knowing you and following your career and understanding where you are now and the mission you're on now, your brand, more than anything, is pure optimism. And, you've been in certain ways, and you talk about one of your books is titled this way, the luckiest guy in the world, and you've had challenges that most people don't have, but yet, and this is obviously so much in this current book that we're going to talk about, it's all about going forward. And it's all about, hope, inspiration, the future, no matter where the present or the past was, is in front of us and is going to get better. And I've got no choice but the future. And so that you are, to me, at the essence, hope.
The last thing we run out of is the future. It's the last thing to go. See, oh, you view the future right till the very end, until there's no future, and then starts the end of another cycle, I guess. But yeah, it's just a way of looking at life that everything is an opportunity to grow. Everything is something to learn from. That I think if we look at and assess the things in our lives and we look at them honestly, how we feel about them, and not take in what everybody else thinks. I mean, our feelings are so muted and transmutated by other people's opinions and other people's and the national zeitgeist. I mean, we just listen to ourselves and listen to what's good for us, and we'll make it through. I mean, I don't know if that's optimism or I don't know. I'm just enjoying the experience. I'm enjoying life.
I want to talk to you about Indeed, and you got to get Indeed if you're somebody that has anything to do with hiring, whether it's your own company, you're in charge of hiring for another company. This is the service. I've hired tens of thousands of people in my life. And, when I was running my company, Indeed wasn't around. I wish it was, because it would have made me think a lot smarter hires. It is very, very simple. It's the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. You post, screen, and interview, and it's all on Indeed. You get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. And this is what I love about it. You only pay for candidates that meet must-have qualifications and schedule and complete video interviews in your Indeed dashboard. Makes connecting with hiring the right talent fast and easy. And the right talent is everything today. If you don't have the right people, you don't win. With tools like Indeed Instant Match, giving you quality candidates whose resume on Indeed fit your job description immediately, and Indeed skill tests that on average reduce hiring time by 27%, and time is money. You could choose from more 130 skill tests, then add your must-have requirements, and you only pay for the application at Meet Them. I really like this product a lot. So if you're hiring, you need Indeed, and according to TalentNet, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. Get started right now with a free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your post at Indeed.com/onbrand. Get a $75 credit at Indeed.com/onbrand, Indeed.com/onbrand, offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply. Get Indeed. You'll hire some really, really good people, and you'll be doing it the right way. You're still running your business on QuickBooks? QuickBooks? It's more like quicksand. The bigger your company grows, the faster you sync with outdated software that just can't keep up, which is why you need NetSuite. You got to get NetSuite. Let's talk about it a little bit. Look, you don't have spend time dealing on manual process of multiple systems delays and scrambling to get numbers you need. It's time to get on solid ground. NetSuite by Oracle is the scalable solution to run all of your back office operations, no matter how big your company is. Your entire back office, you run with NetSuite. It is the way to go. Look, this is it. This is the game today. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control over your financials, your inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need to grow in all in one place. I don't care if your business is small, it's big, all of your back office needs by NetSuite. Helps you automate your key business processes and close your books in a fraction of the time. Think days, not weeks. In fact, 93% of surveyed organizations increase visibility and control over their business since making the switch from QuickBooks to NetSuite. Okay, right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program only for those ready to graduate from QuickBooks. It's time to go from QuickBooks to NetSuite. It's a no-brainer. Head to netsuite.com/Donny. That's special financing for you graduates at netsuite.com/Donny, netsuite.com/Donny. You're also one of the most evolving brands. If somebody would have talked about, 25 years ago, your brand, there would be, one of the top actors in the world, funny guy, likable guy next door, Marty McFly,
Pepsi.
And now your brand clearly is about hope and for a cure for Parkinson's. And you've been the foundation has raised over $1 billion. And that is what people see, for instance, that is what your brand the purpose now and where you are and where your mission is so overshadows the early stages of your brand.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned now is that a lot of that stuff, it's like I have a theory. I don't know. I wonder what you think about this because you're an expert on it. But I always said celebrity doesn't belong to me. I don't own my celebrity. I don't own my stardom, whatever. That belongs to the people that bestow it upon me. I mean, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's public perception is what drives whether or not I'm successful or thought of one way or another. So it's the same thing with Parkinson's and with the work pushing optimism in terms of medical research. That just is its own energy. I don't have to do anything to it. It's people are, I think, in a healthy way, projecting their concerns for the future onto organizations like ours that are pushing ahead. And that maybe initially had to do with my brand, and that people knew that I take an honest crack at it, and I think it's continued on its own strength. But the brand. I mean, you go back to like the characters like Alex P. Keaton, go-getter, young conservative, relentless, and energy and positivism, and Marty McFly and all this stuff. So it fed into an image that was then really transposable to driving a research agenda.
You know, I never thought about that, and that in terms of the correlation between kind of your essence as the face and inspiration for Parkinson's, and yet the kind of, as you said, the go do it quality, the secret of my success, and even some of the not huge mega movies, but you were always that guy, the guy in Spin City, and the guy in All the Presidents in American President, and that's fascinating. I had kind of put that math together. I want to talk about celebrity a little bit, because we are such a celebrity culture now, and the definition of celebrity is completely warped. And anybody with we've got people now with 1 million followers, and because their butts are shaped a certain way, and that's a different definition of fame. You hit celebrity at a very young age. You're a kid from Canada, and all of a sudden, Family Ties just blows on the scene. Talk to me about all of a sudden the feeling of going from somebody who's just a dude to somebody who, and we all know the way our culture just elevates celebrities, and all of a sudden you're something special. You're the same guy. You happen to be acting for a living, and all of a sudden you're something. How do you process that as a young guy?
Well, I think it made me think of a couple of things, but I'll go at this first. I was in Hollywood I went down on my 18th birthday when it was 1979. And I went down and I started to work right away, did some work. And then I didn't work. And I didn't work for on and off for like 3 years. And I thought that as my kind of crucible. So when you think about a guy who was successful at 21, 22, the years between 18 and 21 were like my time in the desert. But comparable to other people's struggles, they're nothing. But it seemed like a lot to me. And then it seems like quite a lot when I look at someone who, like you said, has their ass is shaped a certain way, and so they become the biggest star in the world. And you go, why did I eat shit and go through all those auditions and toil and scrape if all I had to do was have a nice butt? But it was an amazing time. It was I was an 18-year-old kid from Canada, moved to Los Angeles, and in 3 years, 4 years, had a Ferrari and a house in Little Canyon. And it's too much to. What happened to me happily was I eventually met Tracey, who saw I was partying out of control, because you can't parse what's real and what's not real at a certain point. It just gets, everything is accessible to you. I'm talking about the pure celebrity, the pure fame.
Yeah,
you can't buy a drink in a restaurant, or dinner in a restaurant, or a drink in a bar, and it just warps. Tracey finally sat me down before we were even going out. We were just friends at this point. And she played me this James Taylor song called "That's Why I'm Here," where he talks about John Belushi, and she played it for me, and she said, "Remember this," and I did. Saw her a couple of years later, and asked her how her boyfriend was, and she said they'd broken up, and I said, "Look, let's go have lunch," and then we got married shortly thereafter. But she rescued me from it. I would have been a whirlpool of disaster.
And so much of an essence of your book, your current book, is a love story to Tracey. And, you clearly say that just she's the one that's gotten you through this. And look, Tracey's one of the greatest ladies. She's like, you look up in the dictionary like Superwoman, and there she is. You guys have 4 amazing kids together. She has been your rock. Talk to me about, I want to know, Michael, pre-Tracey, post-Tracey. Give me an asshole moment pre-Tracey where, okay, this is the 21-year-old kid with the Ferrari. I look back now, I want to smack the kid in the head. And then Tracey moment afterwards where, you know what, just there was a moment that I went from A to B, and it's all Tracey.
Well, the asshole moment's easy. That was when she was doing the show. She had like 6 episodes of the show. People think she was on a lot over a couple of seasons. She just did 6 episodes
Really?
of the 5th season. But she was brilliant, and so people remembered her. But we did a scene after lunch one day. We came back from lunch. We all went to lunch separately. And I stepped on the stage and did my first lines with her, and I could smell garlic. And so I just said, just being a smart ass, I said, "So it's scampi for lunch, babe?" And she looked at me and she said, "That is the meanest thing you could ever say. You are an asshole, and I don't ever want to talk to you again." And at that moment, I fell in love with her.
Why do we like it as guys when women smack us around? I don't mean literally. What is it about? What's the nerve? Because it's a great story, and it's so typical. It's the woman that, or the man, or whatever, you know, love affair is in your life that calls you on your shit, and then we fall in love. What is that?
Well,
What's that button?
It's the thing about it's getting called in your shit. It's like I don't have the burden of having to think that, like, it lessens the danger that I believe it. I start buying into my own bullshit. Like, someone I respect but doesn't buy into it, I go, "Yeah, you're right. That's horseshit. I shouldn't get away with that." And the moment where I really knew that we were going to go A to B together was when I told her that I was just diagnosed. I came back from the doctor with my diagnosis, and we both kind of held each other and had no idea what it meant, because at that point it was just a twitch in a pinky, and he's telling me I got 10 years left at most to work, and so I shared that with her. And at that moment, I would have felt it if she'd pulled back even that much, but she didn't. She just leaned forward, leaned into it, and she's been with me ever since.
And you were 29. What'd she say to you? Do you remember what the actual words she said?
I just said, I got Parkinson's. I don't know what's going to happen. And she said, "Well, we'll see." I said, "Are you in for this?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm in."
So what?
And it was,
you have an unusual circumstance, but I want to ask you this just in general terms anyway, because you do have such a great marriage, and I'm somebody that hasn't gotten that right yet. What's the keys? If I went to you and said grasshopper, you was telling me grasshopper, here's the keys here, and obviously, as I said, you guys have been on a journey together that's unusual, but at the end of the day, you're still your mom and dad. You got 4 kids. You're living in New York City. You're dealing with all the problems we're dealing with, and with kids and growing up. So, what's the secret? What's the secret sauce?
well, I think of a few things, and I don't know if it's a secret. I mean, the slapdat, the easy secret is to say, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. But short of that, I think it's what Tracey calls it the benefit of the doubt. Like, just and I call it, don't expect to get more out than you put in. If you put in a lot, you put in all your heart and all your love and all your attention and all your energy, then you get the same thing back. At least I do. But and Tracey's point of view is that whatever I may have done to have you perceive a slight or an insult, believe me, give me the benefit of the doubt. I would never do that, and I wasn't doing that. I wasn't saying this about you're taking care of this part of the responsibility, or you're not showing up for this, or none of that stuff. It's just, don't waste time with it. Just stick to the big stuff, and you'll see how much you mean to each other and how much you bring to the final product.
Yeah, it's just, as I said, I get to see up close and personal, and it is a magical relationship, but she's a magical lady. Just want to go 5 minutes backwards.
And she puts up with a lot of crap.
She does put up with a lot. You know, everybody thinks you're such an easy guy. You know, I'm
a handful.
I want to just go back 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk present and future. The one movie I want to focus on, Back to the Future, it's iconic. It is one of these movies where my kids at age 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 fell in love with it. And I can't get my kids, I could never get my kids to watch older movies because they say they look different. The film look, you know, I'll put something on, you know, like Breakfast Club or any of the great movies from and now it looks old. But for some reason, Back to the Future and Marty McFly just goes from generation to generation. Explain to me why that is.
Well, my kids always say it's the sound, the way people talk. People don't talk like that anymore. And a movie from it'd be Tootsie. And you say, like, this was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But to them, that's an old movie. That's like a Gloria Swanson or something. So what is it that, when I was a kid, they used to play Wizard of Oz every Christmas. We had like 2 channels. I grew up in Canada.
Same thing.
Rural Canada. They had like 2 channels. So it was a big deal when they played it. We didn't have videos. We couldn't watch it anytime we wanted to. We could only watch it that time once a year. And we stayed up and we watched Wizard of Oz. And I always wanted to be one of the flying monkeys. And now the same kind of timeless feeling that film had, our film Back to the Future has. And I'm somebody's flying monkey.
And it's also just the characters go cross-generational. You know what I mean? So in other words,
it's cross-generational, and that's what the appeal is. It's cross-generational, and it's not so much how different we are in a different time period, just how similar we are, how the threads run through the characters, and I think people it's just so. It's like, to digress from it, what I say about the foundation, when people ask me about the foundation, what the secret of the foundation is, I say it's purity of motive. Purity of motive. And when you look at Back to the Future, there's a purity of motive there. It was just to entertain. There's no other agenda, there was no other mission, there was no other message. It was just to entertain. If it was funny, it was in the picture.
Look, we all want privacy. And, going on the internet is, no matter how private you think you're being, you're not. You can use incognito. People can still see what you've been browsing. It's for sale for advertisers. There is no privacy. And if you want privacy, there's one brand out there. There's one product to get, and that's ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN, it will ensure privacy. Incognito does not ensure it. It is the only thing will guarantee that whatever website you visit, whatever privacy you want, it cannot be sold to advertisers. You stay private. And it doesn't matter if you get internet from Verizon or Comcast or any of the ISPs in the US, they can legally sell your information to ad companies. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP can't see the sites you visit. It also keeps all of your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data, the most powerful encryption available. I'm telling you, you got to get this thing. Most of the time, I didn't even realize that, I don't even think about these things, but you need to really think about it. ExpressVPN is available on all your devices, phones, computers, even on your smart TV. So there's no excuse not to be using it. If you want privacy, it's ExpressVPN. Okay, protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Wired. Visit my exclusive link. You get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/Donny. That's ExpressVPN, ExpressVPN.com/Donny. Go to learn more. When you're an artist, and you've had a lot of projects, and most of them very successful. Some obviously don't become, mega hits. Do you usually see it on the page? Do you feel it on the first day of shooting? Do you or maybe you don't know until after the audience reaction? Are there certain points as an artist where you go, this is a special nugget I'm playing with here?
A lot of times on films, it's the director. You spend time with the director, and you get what his vision is, what he wants to do, and then you buy in and you run for the long ride. But Back to the Future, what was bizarre was it had a whole life before it got to me, where they'd offered it to me through the producer of my television show, Gary Goldberg, my dear friend who's since passed on. But he had the first look at this Back to the Future, and we just started our season. So he said, "I'm sorry, I can't let him out. And so he didn't let me out, and he didn't tell me about it. Why should he have to? It just wasn't going to fly. And then they shot for 5 weeks with another actor. And then they decided it wasn't working, so they came back to me.
Who was the other actor? Can we talk about that? Or
yeah, Eric Stoltz.
Okay.
Great actor.
Sure.
It was just a different take on it. I think he was a little more, perhaps methody or a little lower energy, but probably really good. If it was a different movie, they wanted Danny Kaye or something. They wanted like.
You're aging yourself for our audience.
Yeah. So I get called into Gary's office, and he tells me the story about how he'd read the script before, but now it's come back to me, and he could see that he could let me do the movie in the nighttime if I did the show in the daytime, the movie at night. And so I did. I said, "Great, I'm in." And very quickly, within a period of about 4 days, I went from not knowing about the script to being in a parking lot in Puente Hills with flames running between my legs. It just all happened very fast. And it's a big change in your life like that. They don't sneak up on you, and you don't like kind of gradually roll them out. It's like wham, boom, your life is different. And it's, do you rise to it or do you not rise to it?
Yeah, you more than anybody have extreme examples of that as far as, very quick stardom and then all of a sudden getting hit with Parkinson's. Look, you're, I don't want to say a metaphor, but your situation in life, your extremes, your poles of superstardom and then at a very young age getting hit with a disease is kind of what an extreme version of what a lot of us go through in life. You know, at the end of the day, we've got our ups and then we've got our downs, we've got our ups and we've got our sideways. And it's how you play with the downs. And that's been a big theme. It's been a theme in all your books. So to a guy out there who maybe didn't just get diagnosed with Parkinson's, but has either lost their job or not a guy, a woman, anybody, lost a marriage, they have a sick child. What's the wisdom from a guy that has been on both poles and has been making lemonade out of lemons, even though in his new book he talks about maybe I don't want to make any lemonade anymore. But what's the formula? What can you kind of give our folks out there who haven't led Michael's life but are doing little different versions of it?
Well, I was getting out of the lemonade business, but you covered quite a span of things. I mean, you go from loss of a child to loss of a job. I mean, it's a big scope. So just to step away from the loss of a child for a second, because I don't have the stuff for that pain. God forbid I should ever go through it. But losing a job or even being diagnosed with an illness that's going to change your life drastically is just don't take it personally. You try to be as objective about it as you can. And like what I always say is, with Parkinson's, the way I deal with Parkinson's is I have a detente with it. I give it the space it needs, but I don't give it any more. And I leave, and it'll gradually take no matter what you do. But I know what it is, and I know where it is in my life, and I know where there's room in the rest of my life for the other things, my children, my family, my work, my dog, whatever. I reserve that space and I keep it as separate. Because if I'm not honest about what my problem is, if I don't face it and look at it, the truth of it, and not kind of obfuscate and make it something else, it'll become this amorphous blob that seeps into every cranny of my life. But if I recognize it and I'm honest about it, it stays static.
Just picking up on that, it's interesting how you said, okay, I keep it there. I don't necessarily own it. I keep it separate. Yet in your case, it's with you. I'm with you, and you're walking, and you're challenged, and your body is doing things. So in your case, how do you talk to me about the mental exercise, the jujitsu that you do, because it is so omnipresent. Whereas, let's say I lost my job, and it's like, okay, I'm down, I can do other things, but the losing my job is not literally part of my physicality. So what's the exercise? What's the tools you use to make that happen?
Well, it can become part of your physicality if, for example, if it leads to depression, it can actually change your body chemistry, your obsession or your concern about something like losing a job. But I think for me, what I like, one of the things, like after having had this back surgery, and I couldn't walk, and I had to learn to walk, and literally learn to walk, transfer weight from one foot to the other, strike the heel on my foot, and transfer the weight under my toes, and then roll it back the other way. And I mean, just looking at walking from an Arthur Murray dance studio point of view, one foot after the other, and what happens is that you get so caught up in the mechanics of every movement of every time I get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, it's an existential experience, because I don't know that I'm going to make it. Not in the way of make it to get to the bathroom, but make it not fall over and crack my head open. And I see it through my family. They're so concerned that I'll fall down and I'll be concerned, and I just bounce back up again, because that's what I do. And I realize that I'm having a different experience than everybody else. Everybody else is seeing me, the Mike they know, going through whatever I'm going through. I've got a schnauzer on my pant leg. I'm like dealing with the immediate minutes, seconds, and moments of these things, and so I don't relate it to any other experience. So therefore, it just is what it is. I don't say I'm having trouble walking. That sucks because I used to not have trouble walking. I don't think about that. I mean, whether I used to not have trouble walking is irrelevant. Now I got to concentrate on what I'm doing, and so I find that my life is a lot less cluttered by bullshit, because I have to deal with the realities of every step.
Watching you, we went to with a group of guys went to a boxing match when you were able to go to a boxing match a year ago, and we were sitting outside, and you got up and you stumbled a little bit, and I just grabbed your arm, and it becomes a non-event, at least to somebody who's witnessing. It's okay, Michael. There's a struggle walk and a little kaboom. You know, it's
and that's what I hope it is.
Yeah, it really becomes, and we smiled, we laughed at each other. I went, "Oops, you almost went down," but I didn't, and it was just that was it. You know, it was a non-event. You know,
that's why you guys are my friends.
Yeah, I mean, I make fun of you. I'll always say, you know, you're doing this shit for attention, and you know, you own it. Yeah, and if you're in your world, you have to own it with you. Not you have to, you just do, and it just becomes if you're just you know if you're a guy with an accent or whatever it is, it's just you. It's just Michael.
That's what I'm saying. It's just you accept it as it is. I can't make it something else. I can't warp it into something less or something more or something that affects me in a different way. It is what it is. It just is. It's just there, and so it's life plus that. I never viewed it. I guess that's the key thing. I never viewed it as life minus what I've lost because of it. I've always looked at my life plus what I've gained because of it. My life would be completely different if I didn't have Parkinson's. And I don't think it would be as effective and as engaging a life.
You'd be just another asshole actor, right?
Yeah, just another asshole actor with a house in Beverly Hills and 3 ex-wives. And 14 kids I don't speak to. Instead of what
by the way, you got some of the best kids around, and your family is so tight. Last few minutes, I just like to do what I call the brand audit, where I'll throw out a name or a thing and just react to me with either a word or a set of words or an essence, or just what pops to mind at the essence of their brand. That's the first one I'm going to say is Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, honest.
Muhammad Ali.
Incandescent.
George Stephanopoulos, who's a friend of yours.
Straight shooter.
The USA.
Home.
Larry David.
Twisted.
Hollywood.
An idea.
Canada.
Home. Mom.
Parkinson's.
Transient.
Michael J. Fox.
Transition. Happy. In spite of the circumstances.
My friend.
Happy anyway.
I like happy because you're going to make a lot of our listeners happy today. The book is No Time Like the Future, an optimist considers mortality. Michael, thank you so much. I know your time is valuable, and I know you did me a personal favor coming on. Thanks for helping us launch On Brand. It was just fantastic, just inspirational.
Donny, I always love talking to you, no matter the setting or the time or the place. You're a good man. You do well.
Have a great day, my friend. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you got some great brand insight, and I hope you evolve your own personal brand. Please follow, rate, or review On Brand with Donny Deutsch. You can get it where you get podcasts anywhere, or you can follow video on YouTube. We'll see you next time on Brand with Donny Deutsch.